And good morning.
Hey, good morning, Scott.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear us out there in the internet worlds?
Somebody shoot us a text. Anybody. Let us know you hear us.
No, but good morning, Mike. How's your week going?
Yeah, good. Scott, it's here it is midweek, right? But they're always busy weeks, right? I mean,
Well, it's already April.
it's crazy.
And yeah, it is going crazy. And I think that's, kind of the things are going fast. And that's just the theme of all things military retirement. And that's what we do here on this, call it a show. We were just talking offline. Don't really,
Yeah.
It's more of a coffee talk. We're just getting together. Mike and I want to get together and have coffee once a week
Coffee.
and chat about things. Remind me to figure out how to get your
I just
email ping.
I just need to disable it. That's probably me.
You're
right?
just one of those guys who's getting emails all day long.
We do.
And loves
I
it.
just didn't have it shut off.
Well,
I'll let you share in my inbox. How about that?
Well, one of the tricks I learned years ago was, at least on my phone, turning off notifications, like any notification whatsoever is kind of a.
Well, we're kind of all, in this, social media world, you react to those tones, and I think people know that, right? And they design them differently, and
right.
You hear it and you get, you're already, amped up to kind of go and investigate, right?
And this is a good lesson to kind of what the theme of this, whole idea of you and I getting around and having coffee once a week with everybody else who wants to join us. So if you're out there, we'd love to have you come sit here live with us. Hey, Tom, how you doing? But the idea is that little things work differently in the civilian world than the military world. Like things like notifications. Like sometimes you've got to respond to an email. You've got to be responsive. But in the civilian world, you might have more control now. It's like, oh, I don't have to answer an email on a weekend, but I feel compelled to, and that kind of stuff. So when we're talking about, so that's what we're doing. We like to do in these conversations. So, we're not saying Mike and I have all the answers and stuff. We just happen to have had a lot of conversations with a lot of people going through this process and have had the ear and been able to, glean insights from that. Actually, I'm going to be in DC here in a few weeks, going to Bunker Labs to speak, Tom.
So, what date are you up there, Scott? We're headed up on the 23rd, 24th for our next cohort in DC, right? And we'll be instructing this go around at the M Street location for Booz Allen. But yeah, we'll be that Wednesday, the 24th is when we're up there.
Okay, my thing I think is the 22nd.
Okay.
But we're still locking it in. Dates keep changing. So cool. Maybe random timing there.
A little overlap, sure.
But so that's the idea here is we're talking to a crowd of mostly senior career guys, done 25, 30 years oftentimes, and just haven't had a chance to think about these things, and kind of in a position of life where when questions come up with like, what's your why? Well, it was easy in the military. You can do the whole wave the flag thing, or just simply following orders, or sense of duty, paycheck. All those things are relevant. But now when you're getting out, there's so many more ways to answer that question. It's why do I want this job, or why do I deserve this paycheck? Or what I personally ran into about 7 years after, I got out of the military, I finally just got fed up enough with what, just having no plan of what I was doing. And I just said, Scott, I don't know what the plan is, but you have permission to figure it out. So more of a kind of broad personal why was something, I needed personally. But so, hey, Mike, and we talked about this. I've got a little bit of a short schedule today. We got about 20 minutes to kind of shoot the shit. But, would love to kind of get your thoughts on what you're seeing. How's everybody? I mean, you brought this up because you had read Simon Sinek's book. Everybody's heard of Simon Sinek, and I haven't read that in a long time. And he was talking to corporations and, finding the corporate why, I think, a lot in that book. But you can, it's a general lesson. There's the how and the what and the why. And most people get the how and the what. How do I write a resume? What kind of job do I want? But why? Is it just have the paycheck?
And it's important, right? I mean, and for those that don't want to immerse themselves, into a lot of reading, right? Simon does some really motivational podcasts, right? You can kind of find this topic that he talks to on his podcast. But, I do think it's important, Scott. And I whether it's on a personal, introspective journey, right? Or, a larger, undertaking, right? And we talked about, your efforts at US Vet Wealth, or even my efforts with Blue Water. It's like, hey, what are we doing? Hey, we're setting out, to bring a current, relevant, credible message, right, to senior leaders to help them navigate that awkward space that is transition, or we refer to as career progression. Well, how are we doing this? Well, we're going to do it credibly, from a vantage point of currency and relevancy, right? And we're going to bring in those experts that have been there and done that, right? And we're going to, utilize their insights, right, as we build our organic network and preserve these keen insights for future members and current members as we go forward. But the why, right? That's the important part, right? And I think, members aren't going to go to US Vet Wealth or aren't going to come to Blue Water because of the what or how. I mean, that might be intriguing, right? But really what people want to connect with is the why, if we're asking this question like on this level, right?
Well,
and I'll get to the personal introspection part of it here, why that's important to what we're seeing. But, it's like Simon Sinek even says, either in his podcast or his book, right? It's like people want to connect with the why. They're mildly intrigued by the how you're doing it and what you're doing, but they want to know the why. And the why for us is, hey, the institutionalized legacy, transition assistance programs were swings and misses for a lot of senior leaders, right? And we don't have to, be acceptant of that anymore, right? We are astute builders of programs our entire lives, whether it's 15, 20, 25, 30 plus years. That is what we did in our formal life. And the why for us here at Blue Water is we're going to build something bigger than all of us. We're going to come together and we are going to be this niche program that sets us apart from everybody else out there, and we're going to build it for us, right?
So Mike, let me challenge you on that. That I think is actually still the what. And so this is where it gets hard for people. It's like
you can overthink it a little bit, right?
No, there's no overthinking. I think it's we have a hard time, going deeper. So let me throw this at you, because I don't think a lot of people know my why behind US Vet Wealth. It's not just a Hawk life insurance that people, right? It's and I've written about this in my books, and but the main idea here is I recognize that these senior military leaders who have so much going for them and have, a lot invested in them, the country's depending on them. These are people who want to lead, should be leading, the American people, highest respected profession, so on and so forth. And then, I just over the years saw too many guys 10 years post-retirement just what am I doing? I don't know. And they never gave themselves the permission to seek that why. And I saw that as lost potential that our country frankly needs right now. To have these guys. So from a financial perspective, this is where life insurance of all things comes into it. At military retirement, guys are stressed about, the VA disability and find a new job. Where am I going to live? Moving the family and all that. And then a life insurance problem gets dropped in your lap. And it's like, you know,
it
and I got to
happens to
deal with
all of
this
us, right? That
too,
discussion on SVP.
right?
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing, you know, that the health thing comes up, and then maybe my finances aren't what I think they should be, whatever that means.
Sure.
And so what I'm positioning this whole survivor benefit plan thing is, it's not a problem, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity, and this is just part of my why. I don't know, maybe we can get it to tie into the other whys. Is it's an opportunity for the healthiest and the more financially savvy, or those who have more, go get 'em attitude. Let's put it that way. If they can qualify for a better life insurance, like, there's potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars that would have otherwise ended up in the ether of survivor benefits.
Yeah, just
that
lost.
can now be repositioned. Like, that's just one kernel.
Yep.
Now extrapolate. If you ever looked at the DoD financial budget, just look at how much money goes to retirement pensions.
I was just browsing it this morning, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And how much of that goes to survivor benefit payments, for example? It's hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, how much military pension value is bled away unnecessarily for healthy people that are paying into survivor benefit plan. So for every kernel that could otherwise keep that money, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars added up into the aggregate into our economy, right? Let alone these are now influencers, influential people, well-trained and stuff, who now have extra assets they weren't expecting. What down the road, I'm not expecting right at military retirement, but maybe 5 years later, kind of like you, Mike Wallace, this is where your why between Blue Water really comes in. Your why was, similar. You saw too many people struggling, with this. So you broke away, did your own thing.
I think the wording is applicable to, aging, dated programs. I refer to it as the legacy institutionalized programs. You know where I'm going with this, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, people step up, they go through it because this is the way it's always been. Hey, this is what's offered to you. In my case, all my 8, 9 deployments, whatever, you get 2 sheets, a wool blanket, and a pillow, and you shut the heck up. This is the way it's always been done, right? It's always been done this way. And the machine, if you will, right, the DoD machine, regardless of what service that you served in, right, when you step out, you go through that legacy institutionalized process. And I've heard you mention it before, Scott. It's a dated program. It's not for everybody or in everybody's best interest. There are other new, vibrant options to consider. And the same with Blue Water, right? I mean, how many senior leaders do we have to have go through the legacy and institutionalized process before we all just stand up and going, this is not meeting my need. This is not what we need to make the next step. And the bigger why, to use a completely overused term, make America great, right? We need these leaders in leadership positions, whether it's defense industry, government contracting, or corporate America. We need them there for it. And I believe this in my heart, for it to take any longer than, a day or a few days to make that transition happen, that's wrong. Right. Yeah. It should be just you got orders, you stepped in, and now here's your next success. Here's the ramp. Here's the road. Here's how we do this. It shouldn't be this huge stress X. And we've been doing this now, starting on our 4th year. We have members that navigate it quickly. We have members that struggle with this, Scott. It's a huge stressor in their life, and they struggle to figure it out. And it should not be that, right? This should be us coming together, and we're going to build a better process, right? We don't have to be beholden to the legacy institutionalized processes that have underserved all of us for so long, right? That's the bigger why. It's just wrong on a scale of right or wrong. That's wrong. We're going to fix that.
Right. And when something's wrong, and you know it and feel it, but don't, and why it's wrong, but then the people going through the process don't know why it's wrong, but they feel the struggle. And that causes the stress, and I think that's really the real why behind Blue Water, from a notional standpoint. We're trying to reduce stress. Yeah, we're realizing there's just
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, this is just unneeded stress. You guys are doing well in your careers. You're doing well financially, healthy. You've got
and it's not good for anybody. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for America.
Exactly.
It's not good for the individual. It's a whole long list of not goods, right? Let's fix this.
So this is a compounding, thing. The more of these little things we fix, and so that's great for us, of course. But now the individual, them going through that process of, how do I find my why? That sounds scary. Is it about the job? Is it about my individual thing? And again, I don't have the answers, but I do have some exercises that I've used a little bit, or I've heard other people use, and it's a form of journaling in a sense. But I liked this idea of this is actually from Jordan Peterson. I think it's where I first heard from it. There's other versions of it. There's a thing called the Artist's Way, where you journal every morning or whatever. I'm not saying you have to journal every morning, but get just brain dumping ideas of things going through this process. You're going to start to find, threads. But what I like about Jordan Peterson's method, he calls it self-authoring. And the idea is you write out what were your biggest successes and failure, or just what was the one big success or one big failure, one big moment during various epochs. Is it epic or epoch? But anyways, during different phases of your life. So maybe like high school and then college and first, thing. So you kind of break your life down into 4 or 5 sections and kind of write those things out. And you might notice things that maybe they aren't military related, that are a talent or a passion or something that, comes out. So this is a process and stuff. But, Mike, you always talk about, finding the right fit. But if we don't go to the exercise of finding out who we are, what we want, why we're, even doing the thing.
Completely agree.
Got to document it.
And you want to know what else, Scott? I mean, what we have seen is there's a forcing function for this. Members come to us, and those that have been through our cohorts know that the first part of the morning, we spend a little bit of time, rehashing a lot of analytical data. In other words, we share with our members up front. Don't take my opinion. Don't take, my thoughts on what your experience is going to be like. Let me just cage your gyro right now. Here's a sample size of 250 people that look just like you and who have been through the program. And this is what they have experienced. This is how long it takes them to find their next success. If they don't do it correctly, then this is what will happen from a sample size of people, right? And I love talking the analytical side to this because that cages their gyro. Now, to your point, the next topic we jump into is what? Designing your career progression, right? Having a purposeful mindset on understanding that introspective side of this. Hey, what is important to me? Who am I? What do I value in life? What are the big rocks in life that I want to make sure stay in place as I look for my next success? And the forcing function comes, Scott, that if you skip that step, which most individuals, that is their first reaction. Mike, that's strategy. I don't want to do this. I just want to get a job. Hey, these guys are offering a job. I think I can do it. I want to go apply it. And, they just hurry up. Let's just get going. And we caution them. We say, don't skip this step. It's important because here's the other thing I know about our members. If they step in and start fulfilling a role or responsibility, and it is not a good fit for them, Scott, they are confident enough and they have the wherewithal, right? And think about the pedigree of individual that our members are made up of. They will not stay. They will leave because they did not do their deep dive. They did not do their due diligence in, right, that purposeful planning, right? What is important in life? What am I about? What is my why? How do I preserve these things? And then the market analysis side. Hey, is what I'm pursuing going to be a good fit for me? And is it going to preserve these things in life? And we tell everybody, we go, hey, we think you should spend some time. You don't have to drop anchor in that world and live in it, but a little bit of time. You've got to figure this out. But here's the thing. If you skip it, the clock is ticking. You will find yourself coming right back to this because you will not stay in a good fit. You will realize this is not good for me. This is not preserving the important things in my life that I wanted to. And you will leave it. You will step away and you will thrust yourself back into the whole transition career progression space again. So for the listeners out there, right, this is an important conversation. I think you would agree, Scott. Knowing your why, right, is hugely important, not only on big undertakings like what you and I are doing with US Vet Wealth and Blue Water, right, on a bigger scale, but on a personal level too, when you're stepping into career progression, right? When you're seeking, hey, my war chest, right? And how do I want to do these things? Well, what's important in my life? And you got to make sure it's a good fit. Otherwise, if you just go off and execute, most will find maybe you got lucky, but maybe you didn't. And if you didn't, you will step back out of it, right? Yeah. And you'll start all over again. That was a note from Tom. It flashed up. And
I was just,
hey, good morning.
Gonna read that. He left a good comment. I didn't realize it was that big. It's like, hi. But
yeah, and Tom is he's echoing, right? It's like,
I'll just read. Let me read it here real quick.
Yeah.
Tom says, lads, as you know, I was not successful breaking into the corporate world coming out of the military. Nonetheless, I believe making the effort was important. I know this job will not be my last job. Nonetheless, between pension, paycheck, and investments, I think I'm doing okay. Just need to get the kids off just the payroll. And that's a common and totally understandable situation.
Many people build bridges, but the thing I like about what Tom did, it was purposeful. It was by design. In other words, it may not be the lifelong answer, but by design, I'm going to tap into this, gain some experience. It's going to meet my current needs. And I recognize I step into the world where I never stop looking, right? I mean, and that's exactly the point we try to make.
Because and then something like Tom, I think, he found, a version of his why a couple years prior to military because he started dabbling in outside of the corporate type experiences, started a podcast, he got into real estate.
Yeah, after the JAG, great podcast, great. Exactly. And you don't have to be a JAG to glean lessons from it. It's all kinds of lessons in there for anybody stepping into transition.
But for him, it gives him more of a purpose, networking opportunities, of course, and skill set development. Learning all this technology and getting the word out. So, good on you, Tom. And yeah, I think what I tell people often. When you're getting out, it's like, I got to get a new job, but I kind of want to do this other thing, or I'm not sure what I want to do yet. And so it's like, get the corporate gig, like, try to find the best fit, translate military skills, however we want to put it, but keep exploring, keep that curiosity flowing and allow these things to manifest. Like I said, it took me years, but we're all going to have a midlife crisis one way or the other anyways.
Eventually,
so we might as well do it by choice. And
design it, right? Okay, I'm starting today. I'm going to be done with it here, and that's great. Yeah.
Wow, Tom, congrats, dude. Because I remember when you got started, we were talking, years ago. So that is
117 episodes, 32,000 plays. That's amazing. Once Tom, we talked about, and I still haven't forgotten, Blue Water Digital. When we bring that online this year, we absolutely want to highlight your podcast, and we're going to make sure our members have easy access to it to review those lessons. And excited to kind of highlight that podcast that you've put together on the Blue Water Digital site. So excited about that.
Hey, Mike, as we close up here, I want to share this with you. Just get your thoughts. I created this years ago as I was trying to kind of figure out what am I doing. Actually, this is before I even called us US Vet Wealth. I used to go by Be Financially Fit. Long story, but it's kind of a goofy brand. Anyways, it's like I've been on. This is entrepreneurship. I've been on multiple versions of this. Trust me. But I wrote this out because I was trying. Again, I was doing those writing exercises and I was trying to figure out what is it that actually, no, I flew out. I did a 1-day trip. I paid a a copywriting, guy to help me identify what it is I was doing. And I flew out to Boston and sat with him all day, and he interviewed me. And then he wrote this up for me based on what I had said. And I was like, what is the theme is what you're trying to accomplish here for these military people in finances? This is obviously finance related, but so is finding a job, obviously, getting a paycheck. And it was like, the whole point is, and this is not to say, get out of the military. It's time to stop following orders. It's just like, no, literally, there are no more orders. You're getting out of the military. You don't owe them anything. Like, we're so tied into, you're doing the VA. I got to go do this. I got to go. And it's like, not necessarily. Like it's everything is now available. And it really is hard for us to grasp it. So I said, let's see, the financial world is not the military world. Actually, let me zoom in on this a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
Financial world is not the military world. There is no chain of command, no field guide or manual. There are no 6 a.m. drills to protect your assets and grow your savings, to find you a job, to write your resume.
Yep.
You and only you are in charge. We've dedicated our lives to the service of others, their protection, security, and freedom. It is an honor, a privilege, and a sacrifice. But what about those closest to you? What about yourself? How will you provide financial protection, security, and freedom for you and your loved ones? We are more than just soldiers. We are providers for our families and our communities and our society and stuff. Like, we don't just retire. Like, we do the oath and all that.
Yep.
We have homes to take care of, communities to enrich. We have other passions and pursuits to explore. Again, that's part of this, why it's important not to forget that. Otherwise, things can go bad. We know about that in the veteran community. Asking yourself, who is it you're sacrificing for? Who are you providing for? What other passions can money help you enjoy? What does your life look like beyond the military? And I talk about that often. Time is money, they say, but money can buy you time. That's the whole point. That's what retirement is. Only you can answer those questions. There is no CO telling you what to do with your money, but with the right guidance, the next step in your life can be a fruitful one. You deserve a great life. Only you can make the decision to put your financial and life priorities in place. No one is ordering you to do it. Here's my main theme here. You earned it, you served for it, or you served for it, you earned it. I actually flip that around the way I say it.
Yep.
But that's what the pension is. The 20 years is what you earned, and all the pats on the back, and frankly, you earned this role in post-military life to continue in leadership positions, building wealth. Like, trust me, Americans want you of all people to build wealth, because you're probably going to be more likely to do something good with it, versus a lot of these other knuckleheads we see getting crazy wealthy. So
I like it. No, it's a great one pager, Scott. You put a lot of thought into it, and it does address, right?
That's just what I told Tom, and he was like, "Should I start a podcast?"
I was reading Tom's note here. Start talking because no one is listening. Was so right? Tom and his podcast, he made the decision.
Until they do. And then that's the point, is like, there's nothing to be afraid of, but if you got something to say, or if you can, if something you would say could change somebody's life in a positive way, then is it not your duty to say it? That's the way I kind of look at it.
And that's the thing here, Scott. There are those out there, maybe you're stating the obvious and it's not resonating with them, but I'll guarantee you there's one or two individuals that'll listen to this and they're going, wow, maybe I need to rethink this, right? There is value in understanding my why, on an introspective level or even a larger pursuit level. Why are you doing the things that you want to do, right? And then am I doing it effectively? And I promise you, in life, if you skip these steps, there's a forcing function, right? And the forcing function is you'll be thrust right back out to the beginning, because it won't be a good fit. It won't be fulfilling.
Yes, sir.
Love having
many ways.
Morning, man.
Thank you, sir. Awesome. All right. Well, we will see you at. Oh, hey, just FYI, I'm not going to be able to make it tonight. Sorry. I had other meetings.
For the Warriors Tap House networking event. Nope, that's all right. We got about 20, 25 people registered, so hopefully be a good turnout. But again, we love Warriors. They host us for these quarterly networking events, and for those in the local area, right, who can make it. We love seeing them out there, and it's just a great place to connect and hear a lot of the insights that those who have already landed and navigated their career progression, sharing those insights with individuals, new members that are coming along still in that process. So
yeah,
we'll toast you.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you. But we got other things planned coming up to build off that. But I will see you at the hockey game on Friday night. So
look forward to it. All right.
All right.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.